Hello, everyone. Briefly about us, my name is Giorgio. I'm heading digital marketing at Metro Markets, responsible for customer acquisition and retention across a variety of digital channels. And here is my colleague, Markus.
I'm currently the lead for the data engineering and the science function, and apparently pragmatic problem solver or something. What was it? But I liked it.
All right. So briefly about Metro. Metro is a multi-channel company focused on professionals. We currently focus on three main pillars. You might all be familiar with the first pillar. So wholesale stores, these big blue box stores, where you can buy in bulk, big amounts. We mainly focus on the hospitality industry, hotels, restaurants, caterers, but are also open for offices, etc. We're active in 25 countries. The second main pillar of Metro is the food distribution service. This is our service where we provide food to restaurants to then prepare their meals. So this differs, as you can imagine, significantly compared to when you order groceries at home, because the amounts are simply different and therefore also the logistics. The third pillar is the Metro Marketplace. This was launched a few years ago. We're currently live in 6 countries. And as Greg mentioned, we fully manage this pillar via Metro Markets, a daughter company of Metro. All right. So if now we go a bit deeper into the marketplace, here you have some visuals around it, right? What is our business model here? We have a vendor business model where we acquire products from suppliers, we store them in our own warehouse, we define pricing, we do the shipping, etc. So we can control also the margin there. The second part of our business model is a seller business model. Sellers are allowed to list their products online, and once the products get sold, the seller takes care of the logistics, etc., and we get a commission out of it. What differentiates also the marketplace compared to the physical stores is that anyone can buy on the marketplace, while in the physical store you need a card to get in. However, we still tailor the full customer experience towards B2B. That's why we have functionalities such as buy more, pay less. So the more you buy of an item, the less you pay for it, and other similar ones. So what do we actually have? We have over 2,000 categories, bunch of relevant brands, and over 1 million products. We try not to list whatever is there, right? We have specific guidelines. We don't want to be a shop that sells toys, etc. So we just try to tailor our assortment based on professional business needs. Okay. Similar to most companies, we use a variety of marketing channels to acquire customers. We do, for example, SEO, we use price comparison websites, we do email marketing, display ads. We have a telesales team, because as you can imagine, also B2B customers might buy in big amounts, so they might need a more personal experience in some cases. And then one of our big fuels to drive growth is search engine advertisement. Google Shopping is one of the main search engine advertisements that we use. So many people search on Google specific products or categories they're interested in, and then product ads appear. Why is this a really valuable channel for us? Because first of all, you can reach a significant amount of customers, because Google, of course, is really well known and used. You can target relevant customers, because your ads only appear to customers with a specific intent, and then it's data-driven. You can leverage a lot of different data sources to optimize your spends. All right, so what our focus was revenue, right? So for every euro we would spend in Google Shopping, we would try to make as much revenue out of it. This is fairly normal at the beginning, early stage of a company, and then with maturity, you try to focus on different KPIs. So we were focusing on the top line, and we wanted now to also start focusing on the bottom line, so profitability, which is reflected in margin for us, okay? And the second part we also started understanding was customers have a different value for us, right? So we should not only look at the revenue that comes directly from them, but we should look at whether they're more recurring over time and whether it makes sense to invest more in customers that then come back to our platform. And those customers for us are the B2B ones, and they have significantly higher customer lifetime value for us. So what did we do? A step-by-step approach was defined in 4 phases. The first thing consists in analysis and validation, okay? Do the points that we discussed before make sense? Are B2B customers actually more valuable? But also defining what are success metrics. We said before it was revenue, right? What are the success metrics now that we shift towards B2B margin approach? The second part is assessment of implementation. Okay, there are different methodologies you can leverage in order to shift your spends towards different KPIs than revenue. So we had to analyze each of them, and also based on feasibility and also cost, define which method at this stage would make sense for us. After that, the focus was on implementing the solution, right? So all the tech part behind it, and Markus will then go way deeper into what happens behind the scenes. And last but not least, there was the whole measurement and monitoring of the KPIs. Before I hand over to Markus, I would like to show you quite a cliche slide, but this was essential for us to make this project happen. So cross-unit collaboration in such a transition project is super important. Why? Because you start to define different KPIs than the ones you were used to, right? And we define those KPIs, and we need to make sure that then we're able to activate our campaigns based on it. C-level buy-in is essential. Why? Because the whole company then starts to look at different KPIs than pure revenue. And as you can imagine, this have repercussions on a lot of teams. You start focusing on different assortment that you promote more or less than before. So commercial team needs to be aware of those changes. Supply chain needs to understand, okay, now we need to stock more or less of those products in the warehouse, etc. Then comes the whole data and analytics team, as well as marketing technology. They focus exactly on bringing the whole tech implementation to life, designing how it would look like, designing monitoring solutions, and also integrating them with our marketing tech stack. And last but not least, we had strong support from our partners across this whole journey. So Google and Tracken helped us in each of the 4 areas mentioned before to reach what now Markus will show you in more detail.
Thank you, Giorgio. And yeah, well, compared to like all the communication and alignment stuff, what we actually show, it's not rocket science, right? It's basically looking at our data and keeping that focus on the B2B and the margin part. Let me walk you through our project. So first, we have, not very surprising now, our margin. And we have some distribution of our margin. Giorgio showed you also already our product assortment. So you know, we do have on the one hand, sweets, chocolates, some stuff, some small stuff that, well, has a rather small absolute margin. If you are selling chocolates for like €5, the absolute margin is not high, right? On the other hand, we do have our fridges, and selling one fridge is, well, a better margin for us. You can also look at the margins, obviously, from like the absolute perspective, or look at the margin shares. So compare, or coming back to the chocolates example, if we have selling price of like €10, but €5 margin, well, margin share is quite good. We focus on like the absolute margins in our solution. And with that, let's continue with the B2B, because at the B2B, we have the same component again. We could focus on the absolute numbers of B2B customers that we are having for our classification, or we just look at some products where the B2B share is naturally higher. Think, for example, about some brands, Dyson on the one hand, that we also have on our website, rather B2C. And then, but GastroBack, I doubt that you find a lot of GastroBack appliances in your friend's kitchen. But yeah, so on different end of the scales. And now we are looking at the distributions. In real life, they are not like as nicely normally distributed as here. So you might do some normalizing whatsoever with your data, and then you might come up with different classifications, different splitting into campaigns. So for example, you could go here, say, you have a low B2B share and a low margin, spend less money on it. You have a high margin, high B2B share, obviously we want more from them. You get the idea. And that, well, do that based on your business needs, right? We also shuffled around a bit here, played around with like the assortment until we found then how we want to split it into our T-ROAS campaigns. Something I learned from my performance marketing colleagues, we had it also in the talk before, we need to speak the same language or need to learn to speak the same language. Target ROAS, use it when it has like a direct feedback like to your sales, not when you're selling like free ebooks or something. Yeah. On top of our campaigns, there is this business logic layer. So basically, to be honest, if-else conditions. One of the campaigns that we then override the classification that we do here is when, for example, no clicks in the last 30 days. Or Giorgio also mentioned it, we work closely with our commercial teams. So there is also this dynamic commercial list of items that for some reasons well, need to be promoted more than others, manifold reasons, various reasons. And that's actually it. That's how we construct our data and how we build then the campaigns. I'll still go ahead a bit with the buzzwords. After all, we built this data platform and we use it. So on our end, we have Google Ads data then in BigQuery. We have our marketplace data in Kudu. Our data processing then happens in data form. We had a lot of things first in Python actually, but we simplified a lot. So learning from like the technical perspective, keep it as simple, just use SQL. Orchestrated is everything by Duckster. Just our orchestrator works like Airflow. Then there is this little service still in Python that writes then the final data to Kafka, where then our marketing tech colleagues pick up the data and generate the final shopping feed here. In terms of then analyzing our data, also here nothing very much surprising. We use Looker Studio dashboards and then also Jupyter Notebooks for diving deeper into the data. And in the following, looking at the time, I'll maybe skip a bit on the left part and then just jump to the bottom right to then also show you a bit of the results that we achieved with our solutions. Because as Giorgio pointed then also out, in the beginning of our project, there was then the question, which metrics do we want to improve? What are our key metrics? What do we want to look at? So for us, this is like, I think this also comes not as surprising. We look at the margin share, how it develops. We look at like the absolute margins, and we do look at the absolute number of B2B customers. Here one learning that we will also pick up from afterwards, share of B2B customers didn't change over course, but the amount of B2B customers is actually the proper metric to look at. Yeah, and without any further ado, here you see the development of the margin share after the launch in Germany. I don't think it's really hard to guess where it started. Then think a bit to the left, because it needed a few days until we saw then the beginning of the rise and then stabilizing on this level. It actually looks pretty much the same also for the other metrics. Amount of B2B customers a bit less, but you get the idea. So we were really happy with that. Coming back to like the challenge part that we had, aligning then also with our colleagues, and our colleagues, well, they are also well, curious and like to challenge things. So one of the challenges here in the project was also that we have to build trust with our solution, because after all, like we are spending quite a bit of money on it. So what we also provided them is then this tabular overview, also really simple Looker Studio dashboard, where they are then able to filter by item ID, to filter by the item name, to have a look then when the bidding level changed, why the bidding level changed, have some statistics about the revenue, about the B2B share, and now very recently also the impact that this item had then on the full order. So how important this was for completing the order actually. And yeah, in machine learning we would most likely call it explainability or something like that, but essentially it was just getting the trust, getting our colleagues to embrace also the solution that we built. Yeah, because like for me also one thing, and I think that is also a learning from me for today, we talked a lot about experimentation, doing the right things, avoiding like mistakes. Let me also quickly go into how we try to make sure that we do the right thing. Because like what is now the actual impact? I mean, you see the line here. So we as humans really like to see patterns. So we can also go ahead and say, stop, has an impact, all good, go for it. Well, yeah, it's like not always so easy, and it's not also easy talking about impact when we just launched in Germany, right? Impact, by today everybody is then thinking A/B test, but it's hard to design one when you cannot properly randomize between control and treatment, right? So how can we still answer then how many additional B2B customers we generated by now our campaign assignment, for example? And for this, we use then causal impact. So causal impact, we do have like this response time series. Let's just assume for today these are then the amount of B2B customers. You have like the development in Germany, and you also have this, you have the time series, which then can be used to construct this time series model. And what we are doing is we are trying to predict what would have happened without the treatment effect, without the intervention. And then we compare it to our control, which we also need to carefully select, because be aware like of the assumptions, like with all non-experimental approaches to causal inference, valid conclusion require these strong assumptions. So we are assuming that the control also is not impacted by the intervention, for example, by the treatment, that it would develop like the same, that there are no underlying other variables that influence the part, and that it's also relevant then for the other time series. So what we did very concretely is that we picked like the closest market to Germany, and eventually then found that there is actually an intervention effect. So going back here, yeah, we were then happy to report we have significant effects, trust our solution, yay. No, but it was actually great then to see the intervention effect. And if you want a number, 1.5 something on everything, we aren't allowed to present the numbers, but yeah, that's cool. Awesome. Now, having looked at the numbers, you met us, so you know we were not nearly as enthusiastic as our Metro Markets colleagues in the photo here, but still we went on, and then we'd also doubled down on like the valuable customers and the profitability, meaning we by now rolled out the solution across our 6 markets that we operate in. We also increased our invest in the B2B user acquisition and the high margin product sales with it. Currently, there's also, I think, a lot of discussion around shifting budgets and how to shift the budget between the campaigns best. That will be interesting to see. Then also, again, the impact and checking the impact of that. Yeah, going forward, or what we did also to prepare going forward is, and there was also an excellent talk this morning, implementing like this 360-degree user ID in GA4 to bring our data closer together across the sources. Like you have seen before, we have strong marketplace data, a lot of marketplace data that we still need to bring together. Because ultimately this will then also help us then with the incremental lifetime values, which I feel is kind of like a natural step in our efforts that we are doing there. but yeah, we are working on that and trying our best. A separate work stream that we are currently then working on is also to identify then the items with the high cross-sell opportunities. So meaning that, well, if you remember the slides before, how we did that, they might have a B2B share, there might other attributes be interesting for then how valuable an item is, or how much we want to spend then on an item in terms of the advertisement. Looking at the clock, good in time. Because with this, I hope you enjoyed one of our use cases, or rather, I mean, it's still a bread and butter one, I think, but it really also then showed the value. I think we did the proper thing here. If you really missed some Gen AI in it, then find me later. We can also talk about feed gen, feed X, that we are also trying currently to improve our shopping feed with also promising results. But leaving the LLMs and coming back to here, as I said, I hope we could give you a glimpse into how we come from data to decisions, and, well, just show you one of the ways how we try to tailor our B2B marketing strategies at metro markets. And ideally, we could show you, give you ideally maybe some inspirations how you and we can continue using our data for data-informed and automated decisions, with maybe the focus on the latter. All right, because, well, it's still fun to do, and we certainly still have a lot of things to do at metro markets, and I'm looking forward to it. Awesome. Thank you so much.